That's a little bit about me. What's going on, guys? If you've been tuning in for a while, you probably know already, I'm Eric from the Nerd Cave. Today I wanted to take a little bit of time, and instead of just doing a typical resale video or seeing me buying stuff or selling stuff, whatever it may be, I wanted to show off some of my favorite things and talk a little bit about my story, kind of introduce myself to the audience. I know people who have been following me on social media for a while are probably pretty familiar with my story, but people who are new to the channel or just finding me for the first time, maybe not so much. So I just wanted to kind of take some time to introduce myself. So, as mentioned before, my name is Eric. I guess my story starts many, many years ago, being a young child, growing up as a nerdy kid, a collector. We were definitely gamers as kids. And I grew up with a grandmother who, all my life, her and my grandfather did resale. They sold antiques. So they bought furniture, and my grandfather would fix it up, my grandmother would sell it. So kind of the same thing that I was, I guess, in a way, destined to do. Worked a lot of jobs for a long time that I didn't love. And then around the time that COVID kind of struck and the job I was at the time went to work from home, I did have some medical concerns, so I wanted to make sure I was taking care of those, and I was more focused on me and doing what made me happy. But at the time, obviously, you got to work to pay your bills, so I wanted to continue to do well at work and improve and get promoted, and I did, and I met a lot of great people there. I learned a ton, but it just wasn't what I was passionate about. And as things kind of moved forward in the climate in the world with COVID, it became more and more clear that something I had been doing for a long time as kind of a hobby, which was some level of resale, it became clear that that could be something where I could make as much money, if not more money, than I was making at my job. So I decided that was something that I did want to pursue, but I didn't jump into it immediately. So fast forward now about 6 or 7 months later, into August of 2020, we were struck, sadly, by a tornado. And right around the same time, I did lose a younger cousin pretty unexpectedly. So there was a couple things that happened to me that really kind of pushed me over the edge to, like, there's no time like the present. We had a tree fall on our home. You may have heard me talk about it very briefly in other videos. We had a tree fall on our home. It did displace us from our home for about 14 months, which was super tough. Thankfully, nobody was hurt. My dog was okay. I was okay. We were actually both in the home when it happened. We were actually dog sitting for my now wife's parents. We were dog sitting for them, so we also had their dog Star, which, if you tuned in for the Hot Ones video, you may have seen her previously. So we also had her here, so sadly she did go through that as well, so it was tough for all of us. So fast forward those almost 14 months to about 7 or 8 months later in July of 2021. I really decided it was time. I needed to stop kind of being lazy about doing the resale thing. I started watching people like Harry Tornado, Commonwealth Picker, NC Picker, Froggy Flips, all those kind of guys who were doing the resale thing and doing it at a level where they were making money. Retro Rick was definitely another big one. Phoenix Resale, who were making enough money doing it, particularly Phoenix Resale, that he was doing it full time. And I really thought to myself, he sells the same stuff that I do video game wise, and I'm a little more knowledgeable about toys perhaps, so maybe my knowledge is a little more expansive and could give me an edge in the same market and doing the collectibles. And it really has. That niche has been beneficial for me. So I started doing it a little more full time. And I got really excited when, within about 4 months of doing it, my 90-day total was $15,000. And keep in mind, that's gross. So that's before I'm paying eBay fees, before I'm paying taxes. Taxes are tough. That's before paying shipping, all that kind of stuff. So I wasn't pocketing $15,000. And I want to stress that. So I kind of realized at that time that it was definitely doable for me. I was able to source things that I wasn't excited about. I was selling like blood pressure cuffs and shoes and random ephemera, really anything that I could get my hands on at like garage sales, thrift stores, kind of the same type of stuff that you would see, especially like NC Picker or Commonwealth Picker, the kind of stuff that you would see them pick up, the kind of stuff you'd see like Harry Tornado pick up. So that's more of the stuff I was selling, but it was never what I was super passionate about, but it was making it so I was making enough money, because obviously you can only get so many video games, you can only get so many toys. Made it so I was making enough money that it was clear that if I was making about $18,000 or $19,000 gross every 3 months, if I get to that point, I would be at a comfortable point where I could quit my job and make at least a little bit more money that I was making at work. So that became the goal. So around that same time that I started selling, a couple months later, my now wife's father also had some health concerns, and we really decided to speed up the whole idea of getting married. Thankfully, he's totally healthy now. He's doing much better, so we're super thankful for that. Out of the hospital, past all of those deeper concerns. So definitely better times now, but we did decide anyway to push forward with getting married sooner than later. So we did plan to get married in February of this year, which we did. We are now. Got a ring. Sorry, ladies. But we did get married, and around that time, I really decided, okay, I've hit that point that I'm making that amount of money that I know that I need to make to be able to quit my job. And so we decided that why go into the wedding stressing about a job, taking time off? Let's just be job-free, stress-free. And I would quit my job ahead of the wedding, and come what may, we would do it. I would hustle, and I would try to make money. So that's what we did. That's what I did. I left my job in February of this year, not making $1 million. I'm not going to retire to the islands. I work a lot. I sell a ton of collectibles. I work probably more now than I did working a full-time job. But I will say I do also make more money now than I did then, and I do enjoy it a heck of a lot more. Who doesn't love playing with toys all day, playing with video games all day, making videos, talking to you fine people. So yeah, long story short, I left my job, and I've been doing this now full-time about 2.5 months. Full-time. So it's been going really well. I've had a lot of opportunity to pick up some really cool collections. But without any further ado, I won't talk about myself anymore. That's a little bit about my backstory. Maybe I'll talk a little bit more about that in future videos. Don't want to bore everyone too much. Obviously, I've had some awesome stuff sitting on the table this whole video. So I wanted to talk about some of my favorite things and why they are some of my favorite things. So I have obviously tons of stuff in my collection. If you've seen me spin around the room before, seen some of my stuff that I picked up, if you follow me on social media or follow my eBay, you'll see that I have tons of collectibles, and definitely some stuff that has greater value, but maybe that's what some people base their love of things on. That's not so much where I kind of pick and choose. I love things for kind of what they mean to me, and that is how a lot of my collection is driven, and less so the total value. Not that some of the stuff on this table doesn't have a great value. But the first thing that I'm going to talk about is going to be this little Shovel Knight amiibo. He is actually damaged. He's got a damaged shovel, so that's a little bit of a bummer. I got him super cheap in a lot of amiibos on eBay a couple years ago, but you can see the shovel coming apart right there. I did discover Shovel Knight organically, the game, not the amiibo, years ago, and it was just a game that I loved. It was a platformer I played through to completion, and as anybody over 20 probably, but anybody over 30 especially, can tell you playing any game all the way through is an achievement, and it means you're really very much enjoying that game, because there's only so many hours in a day to play games. So Shovel Knight was a huge one for me. I did go back and play the subsequent expansions as well. I just absolutely love that game. So that amiibo is probably one of my favorite amiibos in my collection. I am also a huge Resident Evil collector, so I'm going to show off a couple different Resident Evil items. First of all, favorite game in the franchise, and I think this may be true for a lot of people, Resident Evil 2. I do also have the modern version, but I decided to show off these two versions. I am slowly working on a 100% complete in box North American Nintendo Resident Evil collection. I still need Resident Evil Gaiden for Game Boy, like a $700 game. So if anybody has that out there, complete in box, definitely encourage you to reach out, because that is one that I'm looking for. Resident Evil 2, fantastic game. Definitely one that scared me to death as a kid. The N64 version especially, the compression is just... It's incredible what they did with that game. That game was on multiple CDs on PlayStation. They crammed it all onto one cartridge for N64. So just a feat, honestly. The sound is a little worse quality. I'm not going to lie to anybody about that. But Resident Evil 2 on N64 or on GameCube, super good. Next thing I'm going to talk about is this Neo Genesis Japanese starter deck. This is sealed, brand new sealed, so super awesome piece there. That was actually a gift from my friend Robbie. He was one of my groomsmen in my wedding. I had two groomsmen, my friend Robbie and my friend Nate. They were both able to travel from other states in the country to be involved in our wedding, so I couldn't thank them enough for being there. It's always amazing to see them, and of course he had to come through with an excellent gift, so I couldn't be more excited to have that. It is something I definitely cherish in my personal Pokemon collection.
You show up at a party and everybody's like, hey, some guy is here in yellow. And I'm like, it's Pikachu. And they're like, barely.
So it'll stay sealed forever. Nobody's ever going to get to open it. You're never going to see a box break of that. Sorry, folks. But yeah, awesome piece. And then we'll jump back over onto the Resident Evil bandwagon, and we'll talk about something I just picked up recently, which is this Resident Evil 4 GameCube. Just an absolutely beautiful console. It's got all the stickers on it. The console itself is in excellent condition. So I was very happy to pick this up. I do currently have, you may be able to see it back here, the Twilight Princess console. So that one's pretty cool. I am probably going to replace that with this one. Might keep both of them. I don't have any good excuse to need two GameCubes, so definitely at least keeping this one, but super awesome console. And then sticking with the GameCube theme, we'll jump over to two of my favorite games on GameCube, Pikmin and Pikmin 2. And I think it's important to talk about both of these games, because not only are they both excellent, but they're both pretty unique. They honestly play... Although it's the same core concept, there's some things in either game, and I want to keep it spoiler free, so I'm not going to say exactly what, but there's some things in either game that make them very much stand apart. I think if you enjoy the first one, you'll enjoy the second one, and vice versa, but don't expect them to be cookie cutter, exact same experience. Buy both games. They are both excellent GameCube games. I've beat both of them many times, both when I was younger and again as an adult. So the last thing I'm going to talk about today of my favorite things here, so to speak, is going to be this copy of Contra 3 Alien Wars on Super Nintendo. I'm not going to take this out. This is complete, 100% complete. The thing that I love about that is I had an opportunity to buy a collection. You may have seen the video from one of the original artists of Dungeons and Dragons, my friend Tracy. I bought some games from him years ago. After we got hit by the tornado, I had to sell a ton of my personal game collection. I sold a lot of that stuff then, so I lost a lot of it along the way. I hung on to one game that I enjoyed that I wanted to eventually replace, so being able to go back to him and buy some more of his collection, just can't say thank you enough to even letting me come in to be able to buy some of that stuff that he's had for so long, and to be able to just kind of hang out with him and talk with him and his wife was a real treat. But Contra 3, the Alien Wars, fantastic game, hard as nails, but excellent game, beautiful box, beautiful copy. So to be able to add that into my collection, knowing it is from him, knowing it has that lineage, and it is such an awesome game to begin with, just an excellent piece to be able to add into the collection. It's one I've looked at game stores for a while, and you know, when you see them, they're usually missing a piece, or the boxes aren't the best, or the label's torn or something. So to be able to get this one, it looks like it just walked off the factory line. Absolutely exciting. But at any rate, those are some of my favorite items in my personal collection. That's a little bit about me, so thank you guys for tuning into prior videos. Thank you if you stuck it out this far into this video and listened to me just kind of ramble on about stuff and about myself for this long. It means a ton. Thank you all so much for taking any time out of your day to tune into the channel, even if you're putting it on in the background and walking the dog. Thank you so much for taking the time. If you're enjoying the content, remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you have the time. We love to hear your opinions. We love to hear what you'd like to see for future content. If you want to see us do more food content or more purchasing or more selling or more tips about eBay or BOLO items, we can do all that kind of stuff. So definitely comment below what you would like to see. Thank you so much again for tuning in. And remember, when you see those toys and video games off in the distance, it is not a mirage. You guys have a great day.